Meet Will and Tom, two seemingly ordinary men, cursed with a gift of vast knowledge that is forever expanding. Possessing incredible insight with unparalleled skills and expertise. Let us join them as they embark on a journey to quench their thirst for the truth while answering the questions to life's most intriguing mysteries. Let us open our minds and ask, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
And we're back. Let's check in on the weather. Don't forget, our weather report today is brought to you by Fritz's Diner. Remember, whenever you have a craving for authentic grits, come on down and see your friend Fritz at Fritz's Diner, located downtown somewhere. And now for the weather. It looks like today's forecast is bringing in some clouds with a chance of rain. It appears that the polar ice caps have melted, so this might affect your morning commute. And be prepared for large land masses to disappear altogether, definitely causing unexpected delays. And that was your weather forecast for today. Make sure you stick around. When we return, we interview a real estate mogul who says now is the best time to buy land in Antarctica. All that and more after the commercial break.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Tom Case.
And this is Will Stark.
Will, I want to remind everyone we still have until May 4th for the DCYI glass set giveaway.
That's coming up pretty quick here, huh?
I know. I think it's only coming up, a couple weeks now?
Yeah. When does this episode air?
So this episode is going to be airing, I think, the last week of April.
So the 25th.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you got about a week and a half, everyone.
Yep, exactly. So, if you want to, just go ahead and listen in on near the end of the episode for more details. Let's get right into it, shall we, Will?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, the question we have for today is, what if the effects of climate change happened overnight? So, I know you're going to
We're getting dark on this one.
Yeah, this is going to be dumb.
This won't be the first end of the world
scenario.
No, we've done a few.
We've had plenty of end of the worlders.
Yeah.
So parameters are basically going to be, so overnight the ice caps have melted, the seas have risen, and weather patterns have fluctuated and changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically all the worst nightmares that we can have been warned about and has happened,
right? Okay, so seas have now, like, I went to sleep and I woke up and now the world is like this, or like I go to sleep and then all this stuff starts to happen rapidly.
I feel like the funnier scenario would be you go to sleep and then when you wake up, all of this is happening all of a sudden rapidly.
So I'm probably underwater.
Yeah.
I would say. That's an interesting thing. I'm going to really quick, I'm going to try and Google this while we're recording. My bad. I want to see, do we have like a what's it called? Like a model of what the Earth would look like.
Well, you know what? While you Google that,
okay.
I do want to let you know that, I'm a little peeved at Fritz for not being here. But
at what point are we going to hire a replacement?
You know what? I don't know. I want to give the guy benefit of the doubt. But
okay.
I had to do my own deep dive.
You're a benevolent employer.
Yeah. Hey, I want to be a good boss, So let's do a little deep dive here, shall we?
Okay.
Details from the deep.
So this episode, this question is actually inspired for Earth Day, which had just passed, right?
Okay.
So here are some facts about Earth Day.
All right, let's hear it.
So U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson founded Earth Day after witnessing a massive oil spill that leaked millions of gallons of oil off the coast of Santa Barbara in 1969.
Wow, yeah, those are ugly. I can only imagine what one would look like up in person.
I know, and I hate it when you see all the wildlife, like the sea life, you know what I mean? Like all affected, covered with oil, birds even, you know what I mean? Like it's sad when you see something like that. The first Earth Day was celebrated on April 22nd, 1970. Senator Nelson chose this day because it fell between most students' spring break and final exams, and he wanted to encourage young people specifically to participate. So I guess that was a smart idea because it is true. Whenever you're in school and stuff, you got a lot of other things that you're doing, tests and this and that, and it's like you can't really focus on all that.
Right? Yeah, it's hard to focus on anything.
The very first Earth Day sparked an environmental movement and led to the creation of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, later that year. Earth Day was also influential in passing environmental legislation like the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, National Environmental Education Act, and more. Which I really like that. That's kind of cool because, they're all things that need to be done. You know what I mean? It's about time that, like, at least when those came about, it was definitely about time that they had people focusing on those things,
Yeah. Okay. I found a video, by the way. It's like a live animated video of like the water rising.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
But you continue.
Oh yeah. I just had one more.
Okay.
It's estimated that over 1 billion people participate in Earth Day every year, making it the largest secular observance in the world. So I thought that was really cool because, like, at least it shows me people care.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all live on this earth, please try to take care of it. Okay, go ahead.
I'm still watching this. I haven't gotten to the Americas yet, but I'm seeing like a lot of coastline off Africa. Wow, the Middle East got a much bigger Gulf of, I forget what that Gulf is actually called. India is losing its entire right arm.
Wow, really?
Yeah, a lot of Southeast Asia is getting hit pretty hard. This is just the sea rising. This isn't like the weather effects.
Yeah.
Wow, holy crap. Like a quarter of China gone.
Wow,
that's pretty brutal.
Seeing as how they have like one of, like, what is it, the second or third largest population?
Yeah. Wow, the Amazon River area got flooded really, really big. Brazil as well.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's true.
Yeah,
that one definitely.
This one's really close up to an area, and I'm wondering what I'm looking at. We still haven't gotten to North America. They're saving it for last.
Oh, really?
Okay, now we're looking at Mexico and the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
Baja California got really hit. Okay, we're entering California. Oh, wow, we got an ocean in the middle of California. Hey, I think we're okay. We got...
Really?
Yeah, I think we're okay. Okay, now Florida's gone. Florida's gone.
Oh, yeah, we're not.
Florida's gone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And huge parts of the South.
No, the Floridians, the South, the Southerners.
Wow, holy crap. New Orleans is super gone. Houston's underwater.
New Orleans always
New York's
seems...
underwater.
New York's underwater?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's...
Yeah. Okay, so
we're not really that okay.
It looks like where we're at, though, I wish I had a closer look.
Mm-hmm.
All of Central California becomes a huge bay or lake, if you will.
So we would have beachfront property.
We would have beachfront property. Things would be looking pretty good in our
the
undisclosed
location will be beachfront property.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sorry. I'm done looking at that. Back to the question.
Yeah.
So if I woke up, I would probably wake up to, I think it'd be chaos. Like everybody who was caught in the flood zones, most of them will be dead. And the ones that were getting away and or got away would be flooding into the areas that are dry, which my undisclosed location is pretty close to one of those areas.
Exactly. So is mine too.
Yeah.
We're not that far apart. So even though we wouldn't maybe feel the first initial effects right away, you know what I mean? Like,
I would feel like I must have slipped into a secondary dimension here though, because again, like we said, this happened overnight, right? So like by answering that way, you changed a lot of things. Like we're not dealing with the massive tsunamis, because the tsunamis is what would happen is if they all just melted and then tsunamis and huge weather things would be happening. But you said I've woken up and like
and
the
now
effects, the effects of everything has already happened. So like I'm sitting in a world where it's already done with.
Yeah. No. You woke up and now everything is starting to happen.
Okay. So
not that it already happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, if the ice caps, how fast do they melt?
They're melting within 24 hours.
Okay.
So,
oh my God. I can't even imagine.
It already had started too while you were asleep. That's what I'm saying. When you're waking, these things are now in effect. You know what I mean? Like they're maybe let's say it's only been 5 hours or so that they've been going.
I wish we had some sort of like climate scientist on the show, because I'm like, what happens? Because like, okay, so most tsunamis, right? They're because of an earthquake. Right? So what happens is, the Earth's crust, there's a huge there's a huge earthquake underwater, and it causes a huge ripple effect, which then one of the first signs of tsunami is the entire shoreline begins to recede as the giant wave is coming.
That's true.
I'm like, does the same thing happen when the flooding is caused by, instead of like a vibration, it's this immediate addition of a massive amount of water? You know what I mean?
Oh, I wonder, would it just swell?
Would it just swell? Would the water just slowly but surely just start rising? You know what I mean?
I would expect it to just start rising. That I don't know. That's what makes.
So.
That's,
I mean,
know. You and I are both not meteorologists, or like, we're not like environmentalists, and like,
so
we don't know.
like, if it's a tsunami situation, like a normal tsunami, then the entire California coast suddenly recedes, right? And everyone's like, oh shit, and everyone's running for the desert.
Yeah,
and then the tidal wave hits, and if that tidal wave hits, like, I don't know if our undisclosed location is all that safe. You know what I mean?
I feel like it would be enough to go further in to where we wouldn't be in danger, like, let's say, with the people on the coast, obviously.
Right.
But I don't think we would be very safe, you know what I mean?
No.
We may not be like up in the numbers for like casualties, like deaths, but
Right.
It's not going to be safe. Like, we wouldn't want to stay here.
Yeah.
That's enough,
I know we're a few hundred feet above sea level where we're at now. So if I woke up, I mean, this is going to be all over the news. Everyone's going to be like, the ice caps are melting now. Methane spewing into the atmosphere out of Siberia. Like,
water, a lot of those are
water is rising.
Right. Trapped gas.
And the thing is, like, if all that's happening now, I don't know if we get like the blizzards and the mega droughts immediately. Like, that methane has to get into the air, and then it has to have its
that would take some time.
I think the immediate threat is the water rising.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, 24 hours, all that water is going to be added to the oceans. So I think my immediate thought is, like, we got to get up the mountain. But that's everyone's thought. It's going to be this isn't like all the other apocalypse scenarios where I'm the only one who's like, I'm going up the fucking mountain. Now everyone's trying to get to the goddamn mountain, and there's not enough road or even room for all those people.
It's not a thought of strategy on this. It's you're forced. You're going to get forced up the highest part of the land.
Like,
which
and
would
there
be the mountains,
are nearby mountains now. Honestly, I'm going to Vegas. The reason I'm going to Vegas is actually at a pretty high altitude.
Yeah.
So,
and that's where all the fun's at, baby. Let's just go.
Well, no, and then I figure if I need to, I'm that much closer to the Sierra Nevadas, which are huge.
Oh, that's
just
true.
Absolutely gigantic. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going. I'm going to Vegas.
See, we both maybe had the same thought, but we got there differently. Like, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, we're all gonna die. Let's just go to Vegas, have some fun, let's gamble off. You know what I mean?
So silly.
I'm gonna ask for some markers. Like, I'm gonna have a 50,000 marker.
I need to look it up. I want to see the sea level difference between where we live now and Vegas. So hold on, let me look up Las Vegas sea level or elevation level.
But, trying to get there.
2,000 feet. It's 2,000 feet above sea level. That's pretty fucking good. Yeah, I think we're safe.
But getting there is going to be definitely a trek. Because everyone's going to be doing that.
I don't think everyone's going to Vegas.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, I think most people are going up all their local mountains.
Okay.
And, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are, but, like, we're 4 hours from Vegas, 3.5 going fast.
Yeah, that traffic, though, going up through the mountains to get up there will be slow. But at least 24
hours, right? And, like, every inch I'm closer to Vegas, I'm that much higher in elevation. So I still think it's the best bet.
Yeah, and then also, too, you're right about this whole, I don't think the weather patterns would change that quickly just because we have an abundance of now,
by the way, Vegas is 2 times as high as where we are now. Or 1,000 foot elevation. That's 2,000 foot. Sorry, go ahead.
I liked how you just calculated that, and I saw, I hear you're going away. I can see formulas, like you're seeing formulas.
No,
in your
just
vision.
Google, just Google. I swear. But what were you saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say the scary part would have been if the weather patterns do change that quickly just because of this initial.
So like the day after tomorrow.
Addition to
where the blizzard rolls down,
exactly.
freezing everything in North America.
You know what I mean. That would be definitely scary because then making your trek up to Vegas might be very dangerous.
Right. Well, we will have to deal with that pretty within the year. I think we're gonna have to deal with all that stuff.
Yeah, but not within the 24 hours. Right?
Yeah, well, the ocean temperatures are going to rise. Number one, which is going to change a lot of the current. So right now, there's the big current that goes around the Atlantic Ocean or whatever, and it regulates the temperature of the ocean. That will stop, and it will stop very shortly.
That might affect certain, like, at least for like rain and like wind patterns. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's
so
what I mean. It's not going to happen the day of, but we're going to have to start dealing with that. Like, for instance, the United Kingdom is at the same what's it called? Not longitude or latitude? Latitude. I think it's at the same latitude as Iceland and Canada. And as we know, Iceland and Canada are way colder, more frigid, and less,
that's true.
Less conducive to life than United Kingdom, which is quite a bit more temperate. And the reason for that is that North Atlantic current.
Oh, I never thought about that until you just brought it up right now. Like, you're right. Like, those other places are way colder, and they're on the same latitude line.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Longitude,
like,
one or the other.
I think it's latitude. No, I think it's latitude goes east to west, and longitude is north and south, right?
I don't remember. Either way, it's at the same.
I'm a sea captain. Well, I know how to. No, just
Okay,
playing. I'm not.
right.
I am not. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
So, like, suddenly UK's weather is going to get way more frigid. Plus, they're an island, so they've lost some shorelines from the rising seas. So, like, they're gonna have to deal with that. That's going to be devastating to them. But like, what that spells for all the other regions in the world, who's to say? There's going to be regions that. Well, I think everything for the most part is going to get warmer though. Besides that.
Yeah, because now we lost those polar ice caps and
and also like what happens to ocean life? Are we going to get massive extinction from like the desalination of the ocean? Like think about that's a lot of fresh water that just suddenly gets added. And like, have you ever owned a fish tank, Tom?
Yes,
you know
I
how
have.
easily fish die when like a little bit of change happens to their water.
Oh yeah,
so I think we're gonna see,
that
like,
firsthand.
Mass fish, and then of course. The weather changing plus the mass extinction of the fish is going to cause other ecosystems to collapse,
to fail. And
if the day after tomorrow happens and the entire Midwest becomes a frozen tundra, there goes all of America's food.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about and all the crops are dying now, and
I've read articles talking about how climate change is causing like our droughts in the Southwest United States are getting longer and longer and longer, and I know. Since I was a kid, we seem to be facing more and more 5-7 year droughts at a time. And I have read that like a mega drought is possible, and that's a drought that lasts like 50 to 100 years.
Wow.
So like what happens to all the people who live in this very populated part of the country?
It's like Dune.
Yeah, when there's no water. Like the water in the Colorado River is already almost all gone, by the way. That's just now. That's not including all this other shit. Like if it doesn't rain for 50 years, where do we get our water? So, I mean, how people survive when it comes to having water to drink depends on like the government and other industries' abilities to get desalination plants online immediately.
That's what I was wondering. That's why I was going to bring that up because, we're going to have to rely on our own government for certain assistance. Everyone else in the world, they're going to be putting out their own fires, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to be able to help everyone else. They're going to have to help themselves. Everyone's going to be like for themselves almost. You know what I mean?
I don't know if for themselves is quite the right term, but like everyone is going to have their hands full.
Exactly. Like they're not going to be able to help the other countries yet.
Yeah, not necessarily. But like, and the United States is going to be actually really bad considering like Florida. We just lost Florida, half of Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina are like all fucking gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like in Texas's entire coastline, they've lost like who knows how many miles of that. So yeah, that's like 100 million people. That's like either dead or suffering really badly.
Yeah, and there's gonna have to be. There's going to have to be some kind of help. Like, there's not going to be, you know what I mean? Like,
everyone's just going to have to be trying to pull everyone out of the fire. I think, the immediately it's the flooding. It's the flooding, possibly the tidal waves, depending on how this flooding works. And then the next thing is the changing of the water currents, which will then change the weather patterns. Yeah. The water currents plus the desalination will probably immediately kill who knows how much wildlife in the ocean.
Yeah.
And in turn, like how many nations rely on like huge amounts of fish and seafood to feed their population. Like all of a sudden, like everything now there's less food. There's less food in the ocean. And so now you have a bunch of people who are hungry. If we're losing farmland, we're losing food that way too. It's just gonna be utter disaster. My best bet is get to Vegas, and then hopefully that keeps me out of the water.
Yeah. Get to the buffets in Vegas. No, just
and then after that, like, I guess, you know, if home is still there, I guess go back home.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I guess.
And if the super drought begins, then it's like, okay, well, we got to move. You know, it's basically figuring out where does the weather settle. You know, where does the water settle, and then everyone's gonna have to try and like move around. Like cities will move, cities will disappear, new cities will pop up.
It's going to be where
decades.
Yeah, it's going to be where the most amount of help is. That's where the new big populated cities are going to become. But you know, okay, so you mentioned trying to go back home if there is one. And let's say if there was, you know, that would be more scary to me to return just for the fact because of where our undisclosed location is. You know, imagine all the fault lines that are here. You know what I mean? And like when this weather and stuff, like when the water is everything, you know, I'm pretty sure that's going to move more. I would think that would cause some earthquakes. You know what I mean? Especially some major ones, whether it during or even minor, what do they call those? The aftershocks afterwards could be pretty big.
I don't know if this would cause earthquakes, really, because earthquakes are usually caused from pressure underneath the crust, you know, and moving of plates.
But with the addition of the water, you don't think that might move certain things a little bit more, like more pressure?
You know, maybe. I don't think so. I've definitely never heard anyone talk about that. But like, because again, usually earthquakes, 99%, like the earthquake is caused from a buildup of pressure between two plates pushing on each other, and eventually one of them gives
under the
and
other
they
or whatever.
slip.
Yeah.
And that's usually tectonic pressure. That's pressure from underneath the ground, from the mantle and the core and all that other stuff. So I wouldn't be worried about the earthquakes. That at least isn't the first thing on my mind.
Suck.
Yeah, that would be terrible. I would be worried about the refugees and just the sheer amount of people who have been dehomed and there not being enough shelter for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then we all know how a lot of people can act when they're fearful.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
not knowing where their next meal may be coming
that many
from.
people and we're all starving. Like it might not be the best place to be. So maybe returning home isn't the ideal. I think the federal government is going to definitely need to somehow mobilize people into farming land immediately. But the problem is like guessing which land is going to be the best.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you might be like, oh, this whole section of the Midwest did get hit. So yeah, keep on farming. And then by next year, all the crops are dead because they didn't realize that the weather was going to drastically change in this area, right?
That's true.
So, like, I guess now I'm the president in this scenario. Like, I'm bullying in all the experts and be like, okay,
President Stark, what do we do?
You know, and I'm trying to get like, okay, well, we need the people to be fed first and foremost. People need food and shelter. So for food, we need how much arable farmland is left. Like, I guess keep farming that for now since we already have food growing there. But like, based off the changes that have happened, like we're looking at a map of the continental U.S., like what sections of the nation are most likely to become the new farmlands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then based off that information, because it's all just a guessing game, you know, I mean, a very educated guessing game made by very smart people. But my point is like, I guess you'd have to, isn't there a saying for like, you bet on both? Like basically, you'd pick the three most likely areas to have farmable land.
Like you want to? I see what you're saying. You want to
don't
spread
put all
your
your
odds.
eggs in one
You want to
basket.
spread the odds
exactly.
You'll
have to. But the thing is, like, you'll have to get people the equipment. You'll have to get people the motivation. You'll have to get them to move. So you'll have to like offer them a lot of money and maybe free shelter, something like. But you need people to farm, and
that's
you
true.
need food to be produced immediately because we've lost a lot. And
speaking of lost, I don't even want to think about like, you know, all the people that need medical care and attention. Like that's going to be
most of them aren't going to get it
because the hospitals and stuff, like they're either going to be destroyed or they're just going to be so overcrowded.
They'll be overcrowded. There's not going to be enough actual people who can what's the word I'm looking for? Administer care to people. Like we're talking about tens and tens of millions of people that will not get medical attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they won't be available. And I think as like, let's say you're the person in charge of recovery here, the first thing is we need food and we need shelter as much as possible, and then I think it's trying to get medical help to people as much as you can. And like, man, I don't even, what does it mean for the economy too? Like, I've heard, I mean, I'm not an economist. But I've read a lot about, like, if the economy even stopped for a single day, like, we would be hit with, like, such huge economic depressions.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, like, it would make sense.
And the economy would undoubtedly stop for multiple days if this happened. Like,
yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah. I think for even more than that,
so
I think
what
it'd be
happens
longer.
to supplies, you know what I mean? To materials, you know what I mean? We're talking 2 weeks in, and we probably aren't able to buy anything, get anything anywhere. Like, what you have is what you have. Like,
yeah. I would hope, though, by that point, though, I think everyone would be in crisis mode. You know, I'm not trying to say everyone would be so inclined as to help their fellow man. But
it's not about help. But that's not what I'm talking about. You can't help somebody if you don't have tools, if you don't have materials, if you don't have food. Like, there is no help to be had. Like you're just out here and you're starving and you can't fix anything and there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's not even about helping your fellow man. Like, we're talking about, like, there aren't supplies. People are running out of gas. Vehicles are stopping working.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
they're out of gas. You know what I mean? Like, roads are completely fucked and you can't even get anywhere. Like, I think it's going to be a rough first few days that turns into an extremely rough year. And then a decade of trying to get things back to some form of normalcy. And then maybe 30, 40 years, we've reached a new normal, which is like kind of reminiscent of the old order beforehand, but drastically changed.
Yeah, and this would be worldwide because like everyone's going to be affected. This isn't just one country or one, you know.
Absolutely not. On a different note, Antarctica is now available for exploration and stuff. All those penguins are fucked, poor guys. There's nowhere else, nowhere cold for them to be. But
penguins.
The polar bears are drowned. But you know, Antarctica is going to be like this new temperate zone that eventually people will be able to go to. That'll be crazy.
Yeah, that'll be kind of weird.
Yeah. What about like Hawaii? What happens to Hawaii?
I think Hawaii is gone, man. I think Hawaii would be obliterated, no? The sad part is I don't think they're there anymore.
Hawaii to suffer most as global sea levels rise. Oh no.
Yeah, I don't I feel like we're broadcasting the worst disaster ever, you know what I mean? Like right now.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean that's how I handle it is I try to go to Vegas for not gambling purposes. And then I guess from there, do I go home? I don't know. I guess I would have to.
Yeah, I would, I don't know. Honestly, I would probably go there just to see what, just to satisfy like, okay, is this an area that's going to be suitable for surviving? But if it's not, you're just gonna have to.
It might be go home and load up everything I can and get out of here. But it's like I want to go somewhere where the weather is going to be the best it can be, where we can find shelter. But also, I don't want to go too far from civilization because like things are about to get really scarce. You know, I want to be near enough to population centers so that when stuff starts to slowly become available, you know, I can be part of the pool of people that gets access to stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, we're not even talking about like some of the horrible things, like the people who need like constant medical care already. Like, what happens when the parts to the machines that are keeping, you know, themselves taken care of start breaking down or disappearing or you know, stop being made or available? What happens when medications run out? You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be just crisis after crisis. This is something that will, much like after World War II, how there's so many things from the World War that affect the what becomes normal later. Like, this will completely change the face of everything about the world that we know.
Yeah, you bring up a good fact about like supplies running out and stuff. You know, transportation, I guess, is going to play a big part. That's something that I never thought about that you would have to actually pay attention to because you need the supply line. You know what I mean? There has to come from somewhere. You know what I mean?
For like, food and for tools and
medical supplies, all that stuff. Yeah.
So,
man, we said at the beginning of this episode that this is going to be dark. I think that was an understatement.
Yeah, indeed.
But dude, could you imagine?
Can anybody hear me? Please hear me. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me, this is Fritz Frivolous.
I need your help. I'm stuck. Somehow stuck inside the minds of Will and Tom. I need to escape. Please support them and their podcast. You can go to patreon.com/dudecouldyouimagine or leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Distract them long enough for me to break free. You can even leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Again, don't forget about me, Fritz Frivolous.
Hello, everybody. This is Tom here.
This is Will.
We just want to let you know that we are taking a little break from the DCYI trading card giveaway for our patrons.
The reason is because we're starting a new contest for everybody.
Yes, everybody will be involved in this new contest. I feel like it's going to be radio DJ. Like, you're involved and you're involved.
So Tom's brother-in-law did something really cool, and he made a very, very nice looking custom Dude Could You Imagine glass with matching glass coaster. It has the Dude Could You Imagine. Go ahead and describe it.
Yeah, so it does have like it says Dude Could You Imagine on there. I believe there's like certain parts of our logo that's imprinted or like that he has placed onto the glass. The one cool thing I really did like about it is like when you look into the bottom of the glass, it has the eye. The eye
nice.
that's in our logo. Yeah,
logo.
I thought that's so cool.
Does it have the faces or the tower? I don't remember.
I believe it has the.
We'll be posting pictures soon.
Yeah, I believe it has the part of the head, like the silhouettes.
Oh, that's awesome.
That are in the logo too.
That's cool.
But yeah, it looks cool. I really like it.
And he was nice enough to let us give it away to you guys.
Yeah, my brother-in-law Andrew. And you know what? We will also be letting you know he makes a lot of other stuff, crafts and everything like that, and he does sell them. He does really well. So we will be posting and letting you guys know where to get more stuff from him if you'd like. But this contest, this is how it works. It's going to run from April 4th to May 4th, and all you got to do is share your favorite episode of Dude Could You Imagine, whether it's from season 1 or season 2. Share it on your social media. You can share it if you share it on Twitter. Go ahead and use the hashtag Dude Could You Imagine. If you share it on any other social media, just make sure you show us proof, and you can send that proof over to dudecouldyoumagine@gmail.com.
And there will be 2 other ways that you can also enter. If you feel like you can leave us an Apple Podcast review, go ahead and do that. That'll enter you in the contest. If you've already left us a Apple Podcast review, good job. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also, you're retroactively already entered in the contest.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
And another thing that you can do is leave a Spotify rating and show us the proof. And if you do so, we will enter you in the contest. And if you want to do all 3 things, if you want to go ahead and share us on social media, leave an Apple Podcast review, and leave a Spotify rating, well, guess what? You just entered 3 times. You have 3 times the chance to win.
Yes, just don't forget on Twitter, use the hashtag Dude Could You Imagine. And if you do it any other way, send your proof over to dudecouldyoumagine@gmail.com. Good luck, everybody. The podcast you have just heard are the imaginings from the highly evolved minds of the extra-dimensional beings, Will and Tom. It has been translated into a format more easily understood by the human mind. Interpret it as you will. Should you find yourself seeking more answers to life's most intriguing mysteries, you can show your support by becoming a Patreon member at patreon.com/dudecouldyoumagine. You can also leave an Apple Podcast review. You can subscribe to us on Instagram at dude_couldyoumagine, on Twitter at DCYimagine, and on our YouTube channel, where you can leave a like and a comment. We can also be reached through our email, dudecouldyoumagine@gmail.com. We leave you now so that you may gather your thoughts until we meet again to ponder the meaning of the cosmos and ask, Dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? So we would have beachfront property.
We would have beachfront property. Things would be looking pretty good in our
undisclosed
location.
location will be beachfront property.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sorry. I'm done looking at that.